I don't necessarily mean me.
That's true. I don't either.
I mean making sure that dinner's on the table and that clean clothes are available and functions are gotten to and things like that. Okay, so let's just see if we actually are. If you're talking about your health, I don't need to remind you why we're here. So that could explain why so many of you are on that list, because it's become maybe more of a priority. Did it take that serious event to make it that priority?
Yes.
Would you have said this prior?
It took me 61 years to realize, that I'm no good to anybody unless I take care of myself. But it took me 61 years to do that.
Right. It took me rock bottom to do it, but a little bit. I went a little bit quicker. I'm type A, so I hit it harder. And that's really what it's about, because putting myself last makes me short-tempered, makes me a huge a-hole. Sorry, exhausted. I'm crying for no reason. So what good am I to my family then? What good am I to my clients who come to me for help? And if I'm like, screw you, I've got, whatever X, Y, and Z going on, that's not helping anybody, right? So if I can learn to step back and make sure that I'm okay, that I'm taken care of, right? This is especially for women, I believe. Maybe I'm biased. Let me check. But I really think that men sometimes have an easier time of saying, like, this is what I need. We have decided somewhere along the way that we need to be everything to everybody all the time. That's how we were raised, right? I was told to be last on my list by my mom, who was last on her list, right? And so, but it's not serving us. It's not working for us because we're burning ourselves out, right? We're losing focus of who we are and what we actually want. So when we're stepping back from that and setting boundaries, right? This is a big one. Figuring out what serves you. Usually, because I work at a weight loss resort, so I talk about fitness. And fitness is a great tool. For me, it's not about losing weight. I lost a lot of weight through fitness, but that's not what it's about. It's about making sure I don't have to, kill my family. It's about making sure that my, anxiety and depression stay above water, right? And feeling good and setting, there are other aspects to it as well. It's about the fact that I want 10 cookies and bringing balance to that. But there's other methods to it as well, whether it's spiritual, whatever that means to you, and making sure that you have time to tap into that if it's important to you, if that's one of the things on your list. I think we all define spiritual a little bit differently, whether it's religion, whether it's faith, whether it's quiet time or meditation. Having that downtime to yourself, I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and my 8-year-old hits the ground running all the time. She is a little shit. If you have one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Love her, she's a little shit. So when I get home from work,
I have a 13-year-old, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm sorry that
She's a big shit, right?
She's a great idea. You can't take a shit to a
22-year-old.
level.
I have a 22-year-old, and it's just the same thing.
That was priceless right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 5 sons, girl.
Oh man.
Now they're 19 and 32, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were shit on a whole new level.
Yeah, right?
This is pretty. I feel like if you have more than one kid,
Yeah.
the first one, we were like, this is easy. We can do this again. My first one was wrong.
My first one was the hardest.
My first one was easy. She's still
after
easy.
my first one, what the hell did I do?
Yeah.
That's what I said. It took me 13 years to have the second one. Are you kidding?
All right, I digress. So anyways, she will meet me at my car. So I pull in the garage. I'm not even out of the car, and she's there, which sounds so sweet. like, Mommy, I miss you, but also, what are you making for dinner? Cynthia said this to me. Can I go to this person's house? You forgot to do this, right? And I'm like my head's gonna explode because I talk all day at my job, which is great. I love my job, but it's emotionally draining. I talk for 8 hours straight, pretty much. And so I'm all wound up from work and whatever's going on, and then here she is, winding me up even more. And what used to happen is I would go, all right, Isabel, what do you need? And then I would get wound, and then she would get wound, and we would just keep going until one of us was in tears, or I was yelling. Usually I was also in tears. And so what I've learned to do is recognize that I have limits. I have emotional limits. We all do. We all have, I'm a visual person, so I picture it like a jar. You have an emotional jar. Some of us have very small emotional jars, and we can't handle a lot at once. Some of us, we have big emotional jars. We work in emergency rooms, and we can handle a lot, right? And you cannot get a bigger jar. Once it's full, it is full. You're done. We all know what that feels like. You can't get a bigger one, but you can lower what's inside. So what I've started doing is when I come home like that, I'll just tell her, like, listen, I need 10 minutes. I'm gonna go in the room, I'm gonna close the door, and you may not talk to me. Nobody can talk to me. She'll peek her head in. I'm like, we both know that you can't not talk. So you just cannot come in here. Right? And she's even said, okay, Mommy, you have 10 minutes. Right? But isn't that better, pulling back a little bit, than trying to jump all in and be there for everybody? I've been gone all day, okay, I can handle this too, and then exploding. Or completely receding, just shutting down into Facebook or whatever, right? And so if we can learn, like, that has nothing to do with working out. It really has nothing to do with eating right. It's about taking care of ourselves emotionally, just as much as we've learned to do physically, right? When you have a big health issue, you learn how important it is to start taking care of yourself and bringing that balance. So we need to start doing that emotionally and mentally as well, whatever that means to you. Do you guys have any, like I said this was going to be a conversation, I just started talking and then it didn't stop.
That's okay.
You're making a lot of
It's
sense.
interesting.
That's good. I feel like this is a lesson that we have to learn the hard way, especially, like I said, as women. I think that guys do have an easier time at this. So saying, oh, I need to, if my husband needs to take a nap, he takes a nap, right?
It is correct.
You talk about that emotional
It's so true.
jar that you have. You guys may have young kids.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I've got a grown woman. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's still, it's always something, and I only have one. So maybe that's the bad part, 'cause I don't have no one
No.
to concentrate on, So that, it's always there. And even sometimes with her, it's trying to step back from her problems and letting her figure it out.
Yeah.
That for me is a hard thing.
One of the things, one of the most important lessons I think a lot of us need to learn, especially when you're a caretaker, right? I'm actually like a professional caretaker. Every job I've ever had has been in service, right? And so we're really good at taking care of other people. But then, when it comes to the people closest to us, we're really bad at taking care of ourselves. But we try so hard to take care of the people closest to us because we love them, right? We're emotionally invested. But when that's not simple anymore, when it's not easy anymore because they don't want to take care of themselves, one of the biggest lessons that I think people need to learn, that we all need to learn, is that you cannot control anybody else. You cannot control any situation, but you can control how you look at that situation, your perspective on that situation, right? So how can I respond differently, right? How can I control how I respond and not get emotionally sucked into other people's messiness?
But I think that's easier said than done.
It is.
I can do that with friends or just associates.
Sure.
I can step back and say, well, that's on them. But I think when it's family, it's a little different.
It is for sure. And whenever I say this, I always know that it's so easy for me to stand up here and say this. And it's much, much harder to put into practice.
It's
And-
funny, because my son's 26 and he's starting, you know, he lives with his girlfriend and they have their own lives, and when he has things that happen, I say that to him.
Yeah.
You know, you have to step back, you have to look at the bigger
Yes.
picture, you know, this is how you should, you know, how you should approach it, and heaven forbid I should do that.
Right.
You know, I'm a really good teacher, I'm a really good coach, I'm really good at telling other people, you know, how they should do things. But, yeah.
And it starts, so when I teach people about like this big lifestyle change that they're gonna make when they leave my resort, as if like it's mine. I pretty much run the place, so it's fine. That's what I like to tell myself. But it starts with baby steps. And this starts with baby steps also, right? You're not gonna go home and say, screw you all, it's all about me now. You can if you want to. Just let me know how that works out for you.
We're not coming back next year because they won't let us.
Right, they won't let you come back. Who is this person?
That might not be a bad thing.
Huh?
That might not be a bad thing.
Maybe a good thing.
They'll
They'll all leave me
if you're at
alone.
home.
So it starts with little things, like getting home from work and saying you need to give me 10 minutes. Or I don't care what you eat, you're having cereal. This is a conversation Tammy and I had on the way here. I'm not making dinner, I don't care what you eat. Right?
I've done that.
Yeah. But it starts with little baby steps. Just like you don't scrap, you know, everything that you're eating and everything that you're doing and say, I'm going to do everything completely new. That's our inclination. It doesn't work. So I always, like, I refer to it as like mental and emotional snacking. If you don't have time for a full meal, you have a snack. If you don't have time for a full, like, mental health day, take a little snack. Right? Starting to practice mindfulness. You guys familiar with mindfulness? Right? Yeah.
That's
Mindless.
My last trip retreat was about that.
Was about mindfulness. We teach about it a lot because it can be used to come back to us and to come back to what we need and what we're actually feeling. You know, I have started to rail against this fake it till you make it mentality because I think we've gotten too good at faking it that we've stopped acknowledging how we really feel, especially when it comes to saying, like, listen, I need help, right? Or I need a day off, or I need you to take the reins from here because I can't. I had this conversation or sort of epiphany with my husband because I almost broke my hand, so it was really badly sprained. And the next day, I was making breakfast before I went to work, and he was sitting on the couch, and he said, "Don't just stand there being pissed that nobody's helping you. If you need help, ask for help." And that is exactly what I was doing. I'm standing here with an almost broken hand. Nobody's helping me in this house. Apparently.
And they pretend they can't.
Don't let us know, it's like a parent thing.
Yeah. But, you know, this isn't a Mars Venus conversation, but I don't remember the last time that I openly admitted that I needed help.
We're not supposed to ask for that.
We're not supposed to, it means we're weak.
Well, I see, my thing is that I think you're supposed to ask, I shouldn't have to ask you if you say I'm doing something, and I may possibly, I'm pissed too, and then I'm pissed for the rest of the night, you know? Why I'm pissed, but you know why I'm pissed. How can you sit there and let me do something, and you know I need help?
So I don't disagree with you, but it's a different, because we
They don't.
always jump in to help,
Right.
always.
Mine don't. It's not, it's
That's not
not an
natural, though.
excuse.
It's
It's not an excuse.
They were raised differently than women were.
It's a different way of looking at things.
Men think with the left side of their brain, that's your issue. I'm just saying.
I didn't think they had a brain for
part of that is
women, because we take the job
Well, that's
without
it.
them.
That's
They
it. If we
do
don't
it the
teach
right
our
way.
children-
Well, the men
I'll
were
tell-
babies, their mothers did it,
And their mothers did it for
their
them, and
girlfriends
then
did it, and then their
continues
wives
on.
did it, so
I'll
that's
tell you.
everybody's always done it for them, so when they're sitting on the couch and you're limping and crawling to the
Right.
kitchen with this runny nose and you're coughing and hacking and he's
Yeah.
waiting for breakfast and you're doing it, you don't say, hey, how about you make breakfast today? They don't
They're
have
like,
the thing of
what?
saying, well, you do it every other day.
But it's
So
not always,
it's
it's not always men too, because when I was on chemo,
I was the strong person. You know, everybody knew I was always the strong person. But I would sit at home and cry because my sisters included, my mother,
Mhm.
my husband, nobody would come over and say, do you need anything?
Yeah.
And I said that years later, and my sister said, but you said you never said
Yeah.
you needed anything.
bingo.
Yeah.
We
We
teach
care about things to
people how to treat us.
Yeah.
Now, my brother, he's the youngest, grew up with 7 sisters and a mother, and I'll tell you, one of his downfalls with his wives, is that he does too much.
Amen.
Because he does,
Because he knows
like we
what
do,
he
he
was.
learned from us,
Right.
and so he's a doer,
Right.
and
Is he married?
he is.
Damn.
Can you give lessons?
He,
Yes.
and I you have to give credit to my father.
Sure, sure.
You know, he taught him how women should be treated. But it is how we teach them. But we didn't see him as a brother. He just did what we did.
Right,
Fam.
right.
And we all, I mean, although as you were talking, I was almost like in tears, like I gotta stop what I'm doing. Cause I'm tired.
Right.
Cause I won't say, yeah, okay, I got mom, but I go to work every day, I can't come home and you guys all, the rest of them scatter. So now I have a job 24/7.
Right,
I can't, I'm tired.
right. That's exactly, I mean, we actually had this conversation on the drive up here, you know, and part of it, you know, we can hate on men, but that's not gonna help anything. So what can we start to do differently, right?
I tell you what my mother-in-law told me when I first got married, or just before we got married. She said, if you need something from him, you ask him.
Right.
And he will do it, and he'll do it happily, especially when you're first going out.
Mhm.
And I said to her, I said, but there's things that I want him to do, not because I asked him to do it. And she said, well, that's on you.
Mm.
And I remember thinking to myself, I guess it is, but I still want it.
Right,
That's
right.
the problem, I still want that, you know, and it's really about, she was right, and now it took me a lot of years to hear it, but you do need to say, could you help me with this? They may not wanna do it after you've trained them to not do it by doing it for, rushing
So
in.
if you keep asking them to do it, they'll learn and then you won't have to ask for it and then you'll
But you
get
have to
your,
bite that bullet and
then you'll
fight
get
that
what you
fight.
want.
Right.
Men
But I think
generally are wired differently, and you
Oh, yeah.
said it, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. They have completely different thoughts than we do. They are more concerned about other things than we are. We're just two separate